Welcome to the opening session of this Declare the Good News Regional Convention of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Now, of all the names that are given to God's Son, which one do you think is the most common and well-known? Isn't it Jesus? With that in mind, let's give our attention to Brother Jerome Fisher as he presents the next part of our symposium, Believe the Truth About Jesus, His Name.
Now, Jesus' name in Hebrew corresponds with the name Yeshua, which literally means, as we mentioned earlier, salvation belongs to Jehovah, or Jehovah is salvation.
Good morning, everyone.
Howdy.
At least you think it's going to be a good morning when you have to listen to clips from the convention, huh?
Well, all I can say is about that opening clip is, told you so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for you current Jehovah's Witnesses, don't think that this name Yeshua is something new or grandiose, because they had an argument with a Catholic bishop years ago. And this point about Jesus' name being Yeshua was argued back then.
Yeah, in fact, I did a video about that, and if I can find that, I will put that in the link below, because it was from a 1950 watchtower, and it was an open letter to this Monsignor who was accusing Watchtower of having shallow scholarship on their version of the Bible, the New World Translation. And it was hilarious because Watchtower comes back in this open letter that was in their Watchtower and says, well, if we had anything to do with shallow scholarship, we learned it from you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's here again, guys. The Jehovah business model based on 1914 is dead. Now here's something you should all recognize. That generation will not pass away until all these things occur. June 6th, 2024 was D-Day. If you were born June 6th on D-Day, you are now 80 years old. Now think about the soldiers that sacrificed their lives on D-Day. Minimum 18 to 20, maybe 25. Which means that generation, by all means, is dead and gone. Once again, Watchtower, you proved wrong.
Well, what's interesting about this convention, and I haven't listened to every single talk, and there was some good stuff in the transcript for Sunday afternoon part 2. And when I went to grab the video, unfortunately, part 2 is the same one as part 1. So I don't have part 2 yet. So hopefully Atlantis has that and can get it sent to me, But the thing is it seems to be like them telling Jehovah's Witnesses, don't fear bad news, keep focused. And like they mentioned in the Gilead talk, that I had the clip for the Gilead graduation the other day, just keep shoveling the coal. Don't pay attention to where the ship is going, what direction you're going. Don't, focus on anything like that. Just keep shoveling the coal. And that seems to be kind of a running theme, also along with the whole Jesus everything in this.
Well, the thing is, Kim, is that, conclusively, the Jehovah business model is dead. And like I've said before, they have to become Jesus freaks. But this is the mistake Watchtower's making. Okay, because the internet is full of ex-evangelicals, ex-Jesus freaks that are now atheists, because they themselves can see the BS that these business religions have the havoc that they've caused. Now, I'm gonna beg for you Jehovah's Witnesses And some of you ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, go to the channel Esoterica. I think Kim will put a link down below. And I believe the title is How Yahweh Became the One God. It's interesting because at about the 9-minute mark, this gentleman makes a comment. And this is going to play a bearing on why I'm going to say that this new business model that Watchtower is trying to employ is going to fail. This Jesus business model, okay? One of the questions that Kim and I have been asked over the years, over and over and over again, is why do so many Jehovah's Witnesses become atheists? And by the same token, you should be asking yourselves, why do so many evangelical Christian ministers become atheists? It's the same question, two different gods. But this gentleman makes an interesting observation, and it relates to ancient Israel, okay? Now, it should be no secret that specific time in history, mankind worshipped the divine male and the divine feminine, the Asherah.
You've done many videos on that.
Of course I have, because the empirical evidence, if this good news of the kingdom wasn't preached, God would make the stones cry out. Go look at the carvings and interpret the carvings. They worship the divine male with the divine feminine. Now, all of these nationalities, all of these groups, they've always worshipped multiple gods, okay? And even in Christianity today, you worship Jesus, you worship Holy Mary, Mother of God, you worship St. Peter, you worship St. Valentine, and you worship Santa Claus, you worship the fertility goddess at Easter, you worship all these different gods. I mean, even Watchtower from time to time talks about worshiping the god of war. Every time mankind goes to war, they're worshiping the god of war. So there's gods, there's gods, there's gods, there's gods. When you become a Jehovah's Witness, what do? Well, you destroy the Easter god, the fertility god. You destroy the, Saturnalia god that, you really worship the sun on December 25th. You worship the, you get rid of the patriotic god. You get rid of all these gods and you relegate yourself to one, Jehovah. Then when you wake up, you become an atheist. Why? Because you've destroyed every other god and you've left yourself with one. How dumb. And that's why evangelical Christian ministers, when they wake up, they leave Christianity because they've left themselves the one God, Jesus. You're literally one God away from being the atheist. There's the answer to your questions. Why do so many Jehovah's Witnesses become atheists? Because you've destroyed every other God, left yourself with one. You're literally one God away from being an atheist. And when this Jesus model for Jehovah's Witnesses turns south, you're going to be asking yourselves, why do so many Christian believing or Jesus worshiping Jehovah's Witnesses become atheists? Because you've left yourself one God. You've got nothing to fall back on.
Well, at least Jehovah's Witnesses at this point have Jehovah and Jesus, so.
But now they're one God away from being Trinitarians, aren't they?
True.
You can't win with this religious nonsense, guys.
Yeah. And I know if you can't stand to watch all of these clips, you can scroll to the end. But, do go watch the end because I am going to cover something that someone said, Mikey and Kim are wrong. Don't you love proving when people are wrong? When they say stuff about us?
Well, there again, comments like that come from people that don't do their study and research.
Yeah. And also, one thing you may want to, watch is the clip of them doing the questions for the baptism at this convention, because I have the latest organization book, and they've changed the questions again. They've tweaked them again, so it's going to be interesting. So stay tuned. Make some popcorn. We've got a lot to cover.
Do you have the truth? Do you believe that you have the truth about who Jehovah and Jesus really are? Yes, because when we look at the scriptures, we see that our beliefs line up with what's in the Bible. And so with confidence, we say we have the truth. And what a difference that makes in our life. It's the reason why we're all here together today. It affects the way that we treat others on a daily basis. It impacts our outlook, how we view the future and the things we hope for. But we also realize that so many people that we come into contact with don't have the truth about Jehovah and Jesus, and we're anxious to share it with them. So in today's symposium, we're going to consider truths about Jesus. First of all, his role. Second, his name. And then finally, some events that are connected with his birth. So first of all, his role. The Bible calls Jesus the Word. So now let's watch a video where the Apostle John is speaking about the Word.
In the beginning was the Word. And the Word was with God. And the Word was a God. This one was in the beginning with God.
There's a lot in that clip, too.
Jehovah's Witnesses, you've got to recognize the joke that he just shoved down all your throats. Do you have the truth? Why, yes, because we have the Bible, and the Bible is truth. Matthew 24. You know that. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, earthquakes, many distresses. Go down to verse 34 and 35. Now, this is Jesus speaking. Remember, you have the truth. Truly I say to you that this generation will by no means pass away until all these things occur. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will by no means pass away. Hey, Watchtower, Jesus' words passed away, just like they did with that 1914 generation. You lose again.
Well, that's why they're going to have to change that overlapping stuff
Exactly.
now again, because even that generation that, you know, was born during Freddie Franz's lifetime,
That's right.
you know, explained all of that. They're going to have to change it again, because look at, even those now are getting up there in age.
Yeah.
And several of these other governing body members, they're, you know, old and...
Well, look at what they tried to do with the scripture in Psalms about, the generation of 70 years, but by special might, 80. Well, those that fought World War II on D-Day, if they're still around, are pushing 90. It's... I can't express it enough for you Jehovah's Witnesses, just how dumb can you people really be?
Well, I found the video they showed kind of weird, because they show, you know, like these nebulas in the universe, and, you know, talking about Jesus, and he was with God, and he was a God. And I remember out in the door-to-door ministry many times having to just, you know, try to defend that scripture.
Yeah.
You know, about Jesus. Oh, well, it's a God. with a little g, he's God's son. And it's like you just have to give up trying
Well, you know why we couldn't defend that?
because you can't.
Well, because you were not properly taught, like all of Christendom, like all of the Jesus freaks, Psalms 82. Now, if you get a better Bible, you can understand that Psalms 82 is talking about a pantheon of gods. God is stationing himself in the assembly of the divine one. In the middle of the gods, he judges. How long will you keep on judging with injustice and showing partiality to the wicked themselves? You guys can read the rest. Right there in your own Bible that is supposed to be pushing a one God theology, Psalms 82 completely destroys that. That's why Jehovah's Witnesses cannot defend John 1:1 with other esoteric Christians.
Well, was it little g or big G? See,
That's a little g.
That's what we were taught to use as
Yeah.
a defense.
So here again, in the beginning of the Bible, let us make man. Well, Jehovah is talking to his son Jesus
Elohim.
with a little g. They'll never see it, Kim, because they will never think about it. That's why cults like Jehovah's Witnesses can become so successful at shoveling the bullshit. Shoveling the coal. Sit down, shut up, and shovel the coal.
Well, that's basically what they're saying. Don't pay attention to any bad news. Don't focus on any bad news. And I've seen that over and over again in many of these talks. Now, the next clip we have, I just want to give a little bit of context because she claims that she was a Jewish woman in the Jewish belief. And then she is giving her experience of coming across, getting in touch with Jehovah's Witnesses and studying with them. So let's play the clip.
When she came back, she showed me that God has a name and that it's Jehovah. I said, "You show it to me from my Bible." She opened up to Exodus chapter 6 and verse 3. And I saw the Hebrew letters there, Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. There were no vowel points. I couldn't pronounce it, but I knew it was God's name. And then from there, I had to know more. When we were having our study, so she would always end the prayer with Yeshua Mashiach. Mashiach, I know, means, blessed one, anointed Messiah. Who was Yeshua? And she said, well, that was Jesus' Hebrew name. And then she gave me a list of prophecies about Jesus. And I took that Bible. It's so worn out now, but I think I went through every single prophecy. And then the clincher was, of course, Daniel, the 9th chapter. This whole part, it just opened my eyes to something that I had never seen before. It was so precise. The timing, it can't be an accident. So it answered the question that I had. Why don't we sacrifice? Well, because the Messiah already came and sacrificed his life. And now he's presented it to Jehovah in heaven. And so we don't have to wait for it anymore. The thought that Jehovah chose his son to come to earth, to die, so that I, insignificant me, can live forever in paradise. I mean, that's special. So I decided to get baptized and serve Jehovah, and I've been doing it since 1959. Look I'm 93 years old, I'm healthy, I'm still going out in the ministry, and I can still cook chicken soup with matzo balls. But what can I tell you? I absolutely love teaching the Bible to people. As long as I have breath in me, I'm going to use it to share with others about Jehovah and the Messiah, Jesus.
Very interesting, how they allow her to tell some of this stuff.
Well, what does she admit? She's 93. She's been a Jehovah's Witness since the late 50s.
1959?
Hey, I got something for you there, lady. You're not of that generation, and you're going to die and still be in this system, just like my own mother.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is, I didn't play the entire clip, but she shows that she studied this book here, A New Heavens and a New Earth, which was published in 1953. And I also found it interesting that, the sister studying with her ended her prayers with Yeshua. So
Yeah.
was this just because she knew she was a Jewish woman? Or was this Jehovah's Witness using the name Yeshua? Not quite sure.
This is product placement.
Oh, that's
They have
it
to
is.
become Jesus freaks. Now, the thing is, guys, they have to present themselves a little bit different than mainstream Christianity. And they're going to throw it all in on this name Yeshua. Watch what happens. It's not going to happen overnight because it's the frog in the boiling water. They have to do it in little tiny increments so that they don't realize that they're now being reprogrammed to walk around. I mean, even Jason Zelda years ago tried to challenge me. Why are so many ex-Jehovah's Witnesses using the name Yeshua, 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 Yeshua? We were given that name, and that name is Jesus. Well, here again, they have to do it in tiny little increments, and eventually they're going to have to present themselves as being Christians, but they're going to go all in on the name Yeshua. Just like they went all in on the name Jehovah way back when.
Yeah. Now, that clip was from Friday afternoon, and I also find it interesting that she says, insignificant me. And this is the thing about Jehovah's Witnesses. I grew up in that organization, and you're never good enough. You're insignificant, you're a good-for-nothing slave. And they have to beat you down in your self-esteem. And I was talking with a friend yesterday, and we got to talking, and it's like, oh, light bulb moment, because look at those of us that were raised as women in the organization. Is you take care of others. You take care of your family. You take care of your husband. You go out and preach. You help the elderly. You make food. You make food for if they're doing construction,
Yep.
or anything. You make food, And I told my friend, I said, oh my God, I didn't realize how guilty I feel even now to sit down for half an hour and to meditate or to do something fun that I want to do.
Yep.
Because that guilt is there still. Oh, I should be up taking care of my family, taking care of the house. I should be doing something. So we don't even sit down and rest. And that was another thing, in watching these, I told her, I says, it's like you are kept so busy. And look at the men, as brothers in the organization, you're kept so busy with congregation stuff. You want to keep working to get, privileges that you don't have time for yourself. Mm-hmm. And then when you leave, you don't realize, you know what? I don't even know who I am at this point. And that's why it's so traumatic when you leave.
And then you find yourself doing stuff, and then you're saying, why in the hell did I just do that? Oh, that's right, because I was programmed as a Jehovah to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really wish Jehovah's Witnesses would sit down and thoroughly analyze why they do things the way they do it, and especially when they wake up and leave. You need to analyze why you're doing things and for what reasons, and recognize how much of that Jehovah's Witness programming, Watchtower program, still exists with you.
Well, like I just mentioned, the guilt.
Yeah.
Because if you dare do something like learn an instrument, go to college, any of your hobbies, when you're a Jehovah's Witness, you feel guilty. You're guilted. And especially when the circuit overseer would show up and give his little speeches like, can you do more? Can you do more in Jehovah's service? You know, can you auxiliary pioneer? Can you regular pioneer? So you feel guilty for even taking the time to do something that you may enjoy.
Can I confess something here?
Sure.
Okay, when we lived in Arizona, my favorite thing to do on any given weekend was to go up to Knoll Lake and go fishing, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times that was on a Saturday. I'd camp overnight on a Sunday. You know what? I never felt guilty.
Well, good. I'm glad you don't have that guilt.
Yes, but I'm sorry that you feel guilty because that's what this organization does. It destroys people's lives in more way than one.
Yeah.
It's just not the CSA problem. Listen to what my wife just expressed. I mean, even now I can attest. Even when she wants to sit down and watch one of her afternoon forensic file shows, she's beating. So she's doing two things at once. She just can't sit down and enjoy the episode. That's Jehovah Witness Watchtower bullshit programming that for a whole lot of people is going to last you the rest of your life. Do you really want this for the rest of your life?
Can I make a confession?
I hope.
Because I've been watching all these convention videos, our dishes are stacked up in the sink.
I will
And
attest to
it's
that.
like, oh my God, I can't take all this time listening to these convention clips because I got a, counter full of dishes. So even now, but it's like, okay, breathe. I'm not going to feel guilty.
Right.
I will do the dishes later after we get this video done because this is more important, for getting out there and this information. And, we've always been honest about our feelings and stuff, but this is true. For those of you who never were in the organization for any length of time, just look at the indoctrination. And it's really difficult to get rid of every little nano piece of that.
But see, the thing is that if you go and watch that video that I referenced in the beginning, and we'll leave a link to it, you have to recognize that even evangelical Christians, they're all in the same boat as Jehovah's Witnesses. The only difference is that it's not Jehovah, it's Jesus. It's one and the same. It's a control mechanism. And even, when you talk to those that have left mainstream Christianity and become atheists, when you talk to them, people, you will see that they're expressing the same thing. My God, I'm doing stuff right now that I have no rhyme or reason in knowing why I'm doing, except that that's how I was programmed as a Christian.
Yeah. Now, when our next clip, I just want to put that into context also. When you go to the convention program, there's a big box at the bottom of the, I think it's Saturday afternoon. Sunday afternoon. It says a special meeting for the School for Kingdom Evangelizers. All who are in a position to expand their ministry are invited to attend the meeting for applicants to the School for Kingdom Evangelizers on Sunday afternoon. The exact location and time for this meeting will be announced. And what they have in the videos is Stephen Lett talking about this Kingdom School. So let's play the clip.
The School for Kingdom Evangelizers equips qualified pioneers to expand their ministry further. Could you attend this school? Before you answer, please give close attention to the following encouragement.
Since its inception in 2014, the School for Kingdom Evangelizers has accomplished much good in the worldwide field. This 2-month school is designed to train experienced pioneers who are willing to serve wherever they're needed. And While many have eagerly reached out for this opportunity, others hold back. Why? Some might reason, I'm content where I am. I have a good job that supports my pioneering. I'm needed in the congregation. I could be sent anywhere. I hate moving. I'm not smart enough. My circumstances don't allow it. They don't need me. There are plenty of others who can reach out. Well, can you relate to any of these feelings? The governing body understands. It's not easy to uproot oneself and venture into the unknown. But before you dismiss applying for SKE, there's a beautiful reason why you should consider it. What is it? To find out, we warmly invite you to come to the SKE meeting during the noon hour tomorrow. We hope you can make it.
Now, what I noticed in this clip is exactly what we were just talking about, is you can do more. You know, how dare you have a hobby? You know, how dare you learn a musical instrument? How dare you go to college or anything else that's going to take time away from this? And he gives all these excuses people have. So they're guilting people, Jehovah's Witnesses, into doing more and going to this school for kingdom evangelizers.
Well, you know what I noticed about this?
What's that?
My favorite little clown. This is an older video, because the last time I saw this man not too long ago, he was fat in the face. So either he's lost a lot of weight, or Watchtower once again is regurgitating old bullshit.
Yeah, because, I mean, he doesn't have that puffy look on
Nope.
his face either, so I think this is an older clip. I think you're right about that.
I think this is an older clip that they're just regurgitating.
Yeah. Now, they played this in the convention on Saturday morning. This was before the baptism. So, anyway, just...
What is old is new, and what is new is old. There's nothing new under the sun.
Well, like I said, I haven't been through the entire convention yet, but I mean, at this point, what I have listened to and what I've read in the transcript, there's nothing really earth-shattering, but there are some changes that we did want to mention, you know, and share with all of you some clips that, you know, we find interesting. So, you ready for the next clip?
Is it going to feature my favorite little clown?
No.
Oh, excuse me. My favorite little bobblehead?
Yeah. Now, this clip is from Saturday morning session part 2.
And so now we have reached an important part of our time together. I get to ask you some questions. Oh, this is exciting. So we invite you, dear baptismal candidates, to please stand. And we're going to ask you 2 questions. And in a loud voice, we like to hear your reply. Now, I'm going to say your answer, please, and then you can respond loudly. So here's the first question. Have you repented of your sins, dedicated yourself to Jehovah, and accepted his way of salvation through Jesus Christ? Your answer, please. Oh, well done. Oh, I like that. You shook the rafters. We don't have rafters here. We got steel girders. I don't know. Construction. You shook the construction. Our second question. Do you understand that your baptism identifies you as one of Jehovah's Witnesses in association with Jehovah's organization? Your answer, please. Well done. Your clear affirmative answers to these questions indicate that you are qualified for baptism as ordained ministers of Jehovah God.
So that clip was from the end of the baptism, and I just didn't want to do any clips from the baptism because it's basically the same
It's the
thing.
same thing.
Set goals, experiences from an older sister that's been baptized for like 60 years, you know, that kind of thing. I wanted to save you guys as much as I could. But I have the latest printed copy of the organization book, and they have changed the questions. This is what the questions were in here. On the basis of the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, have you repented of your sins and dedicated yourself to Jehovah to do his will? So you can see they've changed it. You can go back, rewind it a little bit and listen to, you know, what they're saying now. The second question was, do you understand that your dedication and baptism identify you as one of Jehovah's Witnesses in association with God's Spirit-directed organization?
They left out the word dedication.
And Spirit-directed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
See? Hate it when I'm right.
No, you don't. You keep saying that. It's like, no, you don't.
Well-
You gloat when you're right.
Here again, friends, I'm going to beat this dead horse once again. They're nothing but a business. And if you do not look at Jehovah's Witnesses or any other, you know, Joel Osteen mega church nonsense, then you'll never see that religion is nothing more than a man-made business. People like Jehovah's Witnesses are getting filthy, filthy rich, bullshitting the communities at large.
Yeah.
But, you know, there again, people do not know how to be true spiritual people outside of a man-made religion.
Yeah. Many of us are learning, though.
Yeah.
Many of us
It's
are
it's
very spiritual and, you know... Well, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean,
we're very spiritual
you've got
and we do believe in a source.
You've got to experience it outside of what you've been told
Yeah.
is spirituality.
Without guilt.
Yeah.
Which is the hard part.
Well, here's the thing, okay? If you're a Christian, I would love to see Christians do this. Put Jesus' words to the test. But you won't, because you have the fear that you've been indoctrinated with from birth. I'm a no good nothing sinner. I need redemption. I better not piss off God or I'm going to burn in hell. I better become a Jehovah or I won't get in the new system. Put all that aside. Stop your preaching. Stop your teaching. Because what did Jesus say? If this good news was not preached, God would make the stones cry out. Stop preaching and wait for that miracle to happen.
Well, stones are speaking out.
But they don't understand in what dynamics that the stones are speaking out, because the history of humankind is written in stone.
Well, we've got a clip later on where he was talking about the fear of God.
Yeah.
And trying to say, you know, but it's not what you think is fear of God, it's respect. And
Yeah,
it's like, no, the word fear of God is in there.
Well, it's reverential fear. But no, it's not. Those are bullshit, misleading words, because if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you walk away from Watchtower, the fear is you're not going to make it through Armageddon. That's not reverential fear. That's fear for your own skin.
Oh, what if they're right? What if they're right?
What if they're
All
right?
of us had that, you know, come in our mind when we left and woke up.
Exactly. These knuckleheads are so simple to debunk, especially when you have history and research behind you. Once again, don't take it from me. Go watch that video that Kim's going to put a link to. Listen to what this guy is saying. Not only that, look at the history of Yahweh as it's written, carved in stone. Now go learn something.
Yeah, I didn't hear all of it, because I was kind of busy doing other stuff.
Well-
but it did have some interesting points.
Okay. I asked you to come out and look at
Yeah,
one
you-
still. Yahweh on a coin. Jehovah on a coin. Jehovah is sitting in a chariot. In his hand, he's got a raven. What did you say about the raven?
I said, oh, that almost looks like the same carving of Odin that the Norse beliefs have, where he had a crow or a raven. He was sitting on his throne, and this crow or raven would go out into the world, the universe, and then come back to Odin and tell him, I think it was Odin, and tell him what was going on out there.
How does that relate to Noah? When Noah first released a bird, what was the first bird that he released?
Raven, crow.
A raven, a crow. It's all the same dynamics, people, but you'll never learn anything if you don't study and research and think about these things. Because the history is in the stones.
All right, now our next clip is from a talk on Saturday afternoon session part 1. And he's going to show a clip of a young couple that started a Bible study with a Jehovah's Witness couple. And I noticed several things in this clip. So let's play the clip.
In the following dramatization, notice how a couple who are studying the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses, armed with this appreciation that the angels are backing their work, are motivated to begin preaching. What are we doing?
Good. So that's the end of lesson 22. Take a look at this week's goal.
Think of one person with whom you could share the good news. Think about what to say, how to say it, and when to say it.
Isn't that technically 3 goals?
You'll do great.
Let's close with a prayer.
Well, Jocelyn wants me to do this meditation seminar. You guys are into that, right?
Well, we were.
But I'm like, I can't deal with that right now. With everything happening in the world, inflation is killing my business. I just have bigger problems to think about.
But what's bigger than inner peace?
Making payroll.
Your brother is a Neanderthal.
Look, it's not my fault the world's a mess. What do you guys think?
So, what did you say?
We totally froze.
It's a big step to share what you've learned.
It's just for us. Our spirituality's always been, personal.
We've never liked the idea of pushing our beliefs on others. I know we're not pushing, but
We used to feel the same way.
I didn't think I could ever preach. I didn't even like the word preach.
how did you get over it?
Well, the more we studied, the more we came to realize that when Jesus said, "Go and make disciples," he was talking to us. It's the work that Jesus gave each one of us personally.
Sometimes it feels like it's too much for us.
Well, it is too much for just us. But do you remember what Jesus promised next?
I am with you.
Exactly. And he knew that sometimes it would be hard. But we have some very powerful help. Here's some homework. Take a look at Revelation chapter 14 and verse 6.
And I saw another angel flying amid heaven, and he had everlasting good news to declare to those who dwell on the earth. Notice this neat point in the research guide. It says that God's angels do not preach directly to people.
I'm so glad Blake got us to do this homework. I didn't realize mid-heaven means overhead. Help is so close.
Yeah. They're right there with us.
You know what I found interesting about this is that we've all faced that moment of being idle when you need to speak up and you become fearful. Freezing, okay? Now granted, these people are just, they're just Bible studies. That's what Watchtower is projecting here, okay? They don't have the experience or the knowledge behind them to stand up with intestinal fortitude and call the bullshit when you see the bullshit. Okay? I get it. But the one thing that they keep pushing when they have scenes like this is prayer. The angels are with you. Pray, pray. The angels are directing. Tell me how this works out for you, Jehovah's Witnesses. John chapter 14, 13 and 14. Also, whatever it is that you ask in my name, I will do this in order that the Father may be glorified in connection with the Son. If you ask anything, except when you're being sexually abused by an elder, I will do it.
Yeah, all the kids crying out for help when they're being beaten or abused.
Look how much pain asking Jesus for help. And he says anything means anything.
But Mikey, that's different. This is talking about the preaching work, which is more important.
Okay, so if the preaching work is so damn important, how many of those kids are going to wake up or get abused and say, screw all of this because Jesus didn't rescue me? There was no, see, the angels are only good enough to direct the preaching, but they're not good enough to stop the abuse. And that goes for all Christianity.
Well, not just Christianity,
It's a
a
joke.
lot of organizations.
Yeah, it's a frigging man-made joke that human beings continuously prove how gullible they really are. But just give the money, just sit down and keep shoveling the coal while we keep shoveling the shit. But see, that scripture stands for itself. Anything means anything. Even when that poor child is being abused by an elder, a circuit overseer, a governing body member that might be being groomed, there is no help from Jesus or the angels. Like I said, the angels are good enough to direct the preaching the good news, but they're not. Oh, but wait a minute though. Here's the contradiction. Because when Sennacherib's army was ready to destroy Jerusalem, Jehovah sent Jesus went down and destroyed 185,000 men who were about ready to destroy Jerusalem. You mean to sit here and tell me that Jerusalem is more important than the child being abused? Jehovah can send an angel to destroy an army, but he can't send an angel to protect the child from being abused. It's all bullshit. Nothing changes with these people.
It's been a while since we've had a Mikey rant.
Yeah.
You feel better?
Well, I still got a lot more to go. but that's the truth.
It is.
We have the truth because we have the Bible. No, you don't have the truth. You just keep shoveling the crap down people's throat thinking that Jehovah is going to send an angel to send that child that's being abused. It does not happen.
Well, it says you can ask anything in my name.
Oh, yeah.
And I will do it.
He says, I will do it. Yeah. But you know what? Here it comes, because this program is so predictable. But it's gotta be in harmony with Jehovah's will. How is stopping the abuse of a child not in harmony with Jehovah's will, especially if that child wakes up and tells Jehovah to go get bent?
Well, the thing is there's a lot of psychological, reports and studies that children who grow up abused and all of this, they have some serious mental health issues.
Absolutely.
And we see that. Look how many abuse survivors we have been talking to. And, we all suffer from some form of abuse, whether it's spiritual, physical, sexual, psychological, there's a whole long list. But you look at all of the abuse survivors that have left the organization, and there is a lot of mental health issues.
Because this is what this religion causes. So I'm telling you guys right here, right now, that scripture in John is bullshit. Because look how much more peaceful, even in this community of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, look how much more peaceful we could all be if Jesus sent an angel to stop your abuse.
Yeah.
Jehovah's Witnesses are nothing but a man-made bullshit, shit-shoveling organization.
Propagandists.
Propagandist. That's all they are. They're just propagandists because they learned how to do it by coming up with their own Bible, just like King James Version come up with his own Bible, and like every other religion out there come up with their own version. It's all been tampered with. Go back. Watch that video that I referenced in the beginning. Even that gentleman will tell you that the Yahwists themselves, the cult of Yahwists, tampered with the scriptures to push their own version of propaganda, their own ideological belief into who and what Jehovah or Yahweh is. Every human being has done it. That's the reality that we live in.
All right, so we have another clip, and this is from Sunday morning, part 2.
Now, before we get into this clip, I want you to answer a question for me.
What's that?
Okay, I'm ranting, I'm raving. Has my blood pressure gone up?
Oh, shut up.
Tell them the truth, Kim.
So I've been having health issues, and one of them is high glucose, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. So I have been exercising, getting out and walking every morning. I've been watching my diet. I have cut out a lot of carbs and sweets, and trying to do meditation to keep my stress level down, trying to lower my blood pressure. This guy, no exercise, eats what he wants, including chocolate and ice cream, rants and raves all the time, and he goes and gets his annual physical, and he's fine. All his levels are good. It's like, you suck.
You hate me, don't you?
You suck. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So for all of you that might be a little conscious of my blood pressure going up, don't have to worry about it. I got an absolute clean bill of health.
Yeah, he's got the blood pressure of a 20-year-old.
Yeah. Other than the arthritis eating my feet and knees away, I'm in good health. Other than the arthritis.
All right, next clip.
Psalm 112:7 says, "He will not fear bad news. His heart is steadfast, trusting in Jehovah." Psalm 112 describes a person who does not fear bad news. So let's look at portions of this psalm and find 3 reasons why that's true. To find the first reason, let's read together Psalm 112, verse 1. It says, "Praise Jah, Happy is the man who fears Jehovah, who takes great pleasure in his commandments. Verse 1 says, happy is the man who fears Jehovah. Jehovah's Witnesses feel confident because they work at building friendship with Jehovah God. And how do they do that? According to verse 1, by fearing him. And you might say, well, that doesn't sound like friendship because I don't fear my friends. Fear of Jehovah is not a morbid, unhealthy fear because Jehovah is not a vengeful, angry God, impossible to please. To fear Jehovah means to have deep awe and respect for him because not only is he almighty, he's also loving, wise, and just. Those who fear him don't want to do anything that would displease him. It's true, Jehovah does have requirements for those who want to be his friends. But those who fear Jehovah know confidently that everything Jehovah asks of them is for their benefit.
Okay, so that was from the public discourse that was at 11:15. Why do we don't fear bad news? Jehovah's Witnesses don't fear bad news. Yeah, you do. You're trying to shut up all of us with the negative stuff too. But it's interesting when he talks about the fear of Jehovah, and he's trying to, do this whole pretzel twisting thing of we don't fear Jehovah. It's a reverential fear, and of respect. And he's not an angry, vengeful God. Okay, well, let me ask you. Jehovah's Witnesses, Watchtower, and the guy clown giving this talk, well, what is Jehovah going to do? What do you believe that he's going to do if you don't become a Jehovah Witness?
Or preach.
Or if you leave the organization and you call them apostates, what's going to happen to them? Oh, yeah, your loving God Jehovah is going to them.
Well, remember, strike a little match.
Yeah.
What a joke.
Gone like smoke. Well, he's gone like smoke, isn't he?
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's real simple. Jehovah is not a vengeful God. You guys all can find it. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
Black and white.
Black and white. God loved the world so much that everybody exercising faith in him will not be destroyed, but those that turn their back on Jesus will burn forever in hell through the means of a vengeful God.
I was going to say, we've had a lot of Christians say we're going to burn in hell because of the videos you're doing.
They're all the same. There's no difference. This mindset is killing human society.
Yeah. I want to go back to a previous clip that we showed, and I'm not going to show the clip again, but it was when that couple was studying, and I just forgot to mention a couple of things. If you notice, the guy that was studying, he had the big, huge, earrings. And then her brother there in the kitchen had the man bun. And first thing I thought of is, are they trying to show diversity?
Yep.
Or is this the frog in the water? Pretty soon are they going to allow, the brothers, the men, to have pierced ears? Well, we already know. Our Kobe in Cottonwood, Arizona, he had a pierced ear.
Okay, well, let me just make an observation along those same lines, okay? You've got the clips up here in front of us, okay? Look at all of the black men that are giving talks, even the baptismal talk, okay? Now, this is all part of the societal change with DEI, because look at what you mentioned in the previous video. Now the sisters can be included in the last talk at the elders meetings. It's right there. They're following someone else's script other than Jehovah's script.
Yeah, and like the man bun, I don't see them doing that anytime soon.
Here again, I've said it Before, and I'll say it again, they have to change who and what they are. They have no choice because that 1914 business model is dead and it's buried. They have no choice but to become full-blown Jesus freaks and be all-inclusive of everybody, even now allowing sisters to pass mics in Kingdom Hall. That's all part of what you see going on in the world right now.
Well, even in that clip, the girlfriend of the brother says, your brother's a Neanderthal.
Yeah.
And that made me laugh because if you do any research about Neanderthals and past history, you discover that Neanderthals were actually before Homo sapiens. And there's some interesting factoids when you actually start doing research on that. And I know Jehovah's Witnesses just take that as just a funny little saying, but they won't go do the research. There's proof, archaeological, because I like archaeology, there's archaeological proof that there was a little blending of Homo sapiens and Neanderthals.
2% of European
And I find
DNA.
this interesting that 1 to 3%
Yeah.
of almost all European descent people have Neanderthal DNA in them. In editing this, I had just gone on Twitter and I noticed Larchwood had posted something along these lines, so I wanted to add it in because you will all find this very interesting. It's from the Insight book, Volume 2. And thank you, Larchwood, very much. Page 303, under man. And going down to the 4th paragraph. Adam and Eve were created towards the end of the 6th creative day. There are no actual records of ancient man. You know, Watchtower, you don't know the science. You do not know the science. There is record of ancient man, okay? The Neanderthals, like what we were just talking about. If their DNA is in a lot of the Homo sapiens who have European descent, that is proof of ancient man. And like we mentioned in the video, you know, Cain, what mob was he afraid of? Going on. There's no actual records of ancient man, his writing, agriculture, and other pursuits extending into the past before 4025 BCE, the date of Adam's creation. Since the scriptures outline man's history from the very creation of the first human pair, there can be no such thing as prehistoric man. Wow. Fossil records in the earth provide no link between man and the animals. Well, there's no link between man and animals, but there are fossil records of prehistoric man. So, I mean, I just mentioned a few of them. And there's several more. There was several more of these hominids, Homo erectus, you know, all of these. There is proof of them. And especially the Neanderthals. Because there's a link now between the Homo sapiens and the Neanderthals. I call manure. Because there is so much new information even since the Insight book came out. The Denisovians, I mean, there's a long list of ancient humans and hominids that they have found. So there are no actual records of ancient man? Watchtower are lying propagandists. Back to the video. So are these the mobs that Cain was afraid of?
That could be, yeah. Could very well be.
Because why was he afraid of the mobs and asked Jehovah God to protect him when he got thrown out of the garden for killing his brother?
Yeah, exactly. And yet, here again, why is Yahweh protecting the murderer? I mean, you know, the whole projection is God knows everything. He knows the beginning all the way to the end. He can read your hearts, but yet he sits and watches Cain kill Abel, and then Abel cries like the little wimp he is, Cain cries like the little wimp he is, asks for Jehovah's protection, and Jehovah protects him. But Jehovah at that point couldn't see that Adam and Eve were going to have a shitload more kids. The human progeny, the human family would not have stopped if God would have been a just God and put Cain to death for the murder of Abel. They just don't think, Kim.
Okay, so this is from the same talk, and we have another clip.
Friends of Jehovah have the hope of everlasting life. This hope for the future is the best antidote to any kind of fear about circumstances in the present, in this system of things. Let's move forward. Let's find a third reason why Jehovah's Witnesses don't fear bad news. And as we do so, note that this reason has to do with how we spend our energy and what things we choose to focus on in life. Let's read Psalm 112, verses 4 and 5, and then we're going to skip down to verse 9. So Psalm 112, verse 4 says, "To the upright he shines like a light in the darkness. He is compassionate and merciful and righteous. It goes well for the man who generously lends. He conducts his affairs with justice." And now verse 9. "He has distributed widely. He has given to the poor." And there's this expression again. "His righteousness continues forever. His own strength will be exalted with glory." Let's isolate a few key expressions from these verses. From verse 4, he shines like a light. He shows compassion and mercy. Verse 5, he lends generously. Verse 9, he gives to the poor. So why don't we fear bad news? Because instead of focusing on the problems in this system of things, Jehovah's Witnesses focus on helping others. When in material need, especially in the wake of disasters, Jehovah's Witnesses come to the aid of their fellow believers and others in their community and give them physical support and emotional support. But there is an even more important way to give generously, to lend to the needy. What is the most beneficial way to help someone? Well, note verse 4. It says, he shines like a light in the darkness. In this dark world, the most beneficial way to help someone is to assist them to come to know Jehovah God and appreciate the truth from the Bible. This kind of help is most needed because it gives genuine hope for the future.
He's having a district convention moment. He usually used to sleep through them.
It's the same old stuff at this point.
Well, what's interesting is he says, Jehovah's Witnesses don't fear bad news because they don't want to see any.
Right.
They've, like I said, keep shoveling the coal because don't look at the bad news, don't look at negative news. You know, and now, according to the latest elders' letters, don't even go to Google Maps or your Kingdom Hall's reviews. Don't go look at those reviews because there could be negative ones on there.
Okay, that brings up a good point. Let's just say, for instance, you and I are still Jehovah's, and we decide that we want to go visit a congregation, say, in Cloudcroft. So you go on Google Maps, you look up Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses in Cloudcroft, you get the street. Wait a minute, they have 2 pedophiles in that congregation.
You can't help but see the reviews even if you're a Jehovah's Witness, and someone who had seen my video didn't understand, what that meant, what that letter was talking about. So I did a screenshot from the Cottonwood congregation that we used to be in, and I sent it to him, and I circled where it says leave a review.
Yep.
With an arrow. And it's like, well, you can leave reviews. But, like Mike said, if you have to Google where Kingdom Hall is, or you want to see where all the Kingdom Halls are in Albuquerque, New Mexico, you have to go to Google. The Google Maps come up with the reviews. So it's like, how stupid of Watchtower to even push that.
That's what it is. They're stupid because they don't think of the consequences that they are creating by putting this stuff out there.
I digress. But anyway.
Don't we always?
I know, we always digress. This is the problem why we can't stick with a script. But, going back to this clip, he says, don't focus on bad news in the world. Keep busy, and that's what this talk was about. And the funny thing is he's talking about charity and the man who gives and helps the poor. Watchtower doesn't do charity.
Nope.
They may help Jehovah's Witnesses if there's a disaster, but they don't do charity, actual charity, and help the poor in the world, only their own people. And the biggest thing is, he says, preaching is more important than anything else. It's more important than wealth, more important than helping physically. So that's how they view it and get by this whole helping the poor charity thing, is preaching the good news is their charity, and that's more important than anything else.
Well, it's so easy to debunk what these people say. Friends, we need to replace the roof on our Kingdom Hall, so we need you to donate. So the Jehovah's Witnesses open up their wallet, they give their little pesos, their little pennies, their little quarters, their ice cream money, their $1 here, their $20 here. They finally come up with all the money, but yet when you need help, well, pray to Jehovah. The congregation can't help you. How do I know that? Remember when we lived in Wisconsin, I was unemployed for 9 frickin' months, and here comes the district convention. Brothers and sisters, brothers, I need help getting to the convention.
Well, you forgot the first part of that. They said from the platform, if anybody needs help, come talk to us elders. So he went to them and say, okay, I've been unemployed for 9 months. We need help getting to the convention. And then they read him the Riot Act, that if a man doesn't take care of his own, he's worse than a man without faith.
Can I correct that statement?
Okay.
It wasn't the Riot Act. It was the truth from the Bible. It was the truth.
Oh, pardon me. I used the wrong word.
If I didn't know how to take care of my own family, I'm worse than a man without faith. Well, you can take those stupid conventions and shove them. They're hypocrites. From the word go. When you need help, they tell you, pray to Jehovah, and Jehovah will send the help. But when you need a new roof, they want you to pay for it.
Well, isn't it interesting that one of my friends posted on social media recently a meme where they were showing one of these televangelists, and it was saying, give your seed money, but then it says, oh, you don't have, any food, you don't have a paycheck, you need help. Oh, well, pray to God, He will help you.
Jesus, ask Jesus.
So it's not just Jehovah's Witnesses.
No.
All religions do this.
They
and you
all
can see
do it.
why they're all being exposed.
Yeah, see, and this is what really grabs or becomes rocks in my throat. You hear from the news media, from certain groups of people, oh, they're attacking Christians, Christianity's under attack. These Christians don't realize that they've created this situation themselves. They can't see it.
I know. All right, we have another clip, and this is from the same talk.
Can I go back to sleep?
Yeah, go back to sleep. But it's interesting because he admits something about Jehovah's Witnesses. Is like, oh, for once they're telling the truth.
Now, having looked at these portions of Psalm 112, let's take them. Let's, first of all, just review the 3 reasons
why worshipers of Jehovah don't fear bad news. Number one, they enjoy friendship with God. Number two, they have the kind of riches that bring real security. And number three, instead of focusing on bad news, they focus on helping others, especially sharing the good news from the Bible. When a person brings all three of these things together in their life, what's the result? Let's go back to Psalm 112. And let's read Psalm 112, verses 6 through 8. It says of such a person, he will never be shaken. The righteous will be remembered forever. He will not fear bad news. His heart is steadfast, trusting in Jehovah. His heart is unshakable. He is not afraid. In the end, he will look in triumph on his adversaries. Worshippers of Jehovah are not superhuman. We have the same weaknesses and frailties as others. But with Jehovah's support, we can meet any challenge without fear. As the writer of Psalm 27 expressed it in verse 1, he said, Jehovah is the stronghold of my life. Whom should I dread? And that's an important point, because you may know that Jehovah's Witnesses are not universally loved. There are some people, and there are some powerful governments of this world who oppose us. Perhaps you even received a negative reaction from some to your interest in Jehovah's Witnesses or your desire to attend today's convention. Should any sort of opposition make you fear to associate with Jehovah's Witnesses? No. As you come to know Jehovah and trust Him, you'll see that there is no reason to be frightened by any sort of opposition. As Hebrews 13:6 says, be of good courage and say, Jehovah is my helper. I will not be afraid. What can man do to me? Here's an experience that bears this out. A witness named Valerie lives in a country where Jehovah's Witnesses are not allowed to practice their religion freely. One day, police officers showed up to search Valerie's home. He says, my wife and I had just finished having lunch when we heard a loud bang at our door. It sounded like a huge stone had been thrown against it. At that moment, I realized what was happening. I immediately recalled an illustration that depicted a powerful angel looking down on a house where a family sat praying while armed soldiers were about to break in. I told my wife, Jehovah, Jesus, and many angels are watching over us right now. I said a quick prayer, and I went and opened the door. It's difficult to explain the sense of calm and closeness I felt with Jehovah, both in that moment and ever since. Thanks to Jehovah, my heart is not filled with worry or fear. It's filled with peace and tranquility. Valerie and his wife turned to Jehovah in prayer, and in turn, Jehovah took any fear out of their heart. He was truly their helper in that moment of crisis. But what about those who oppose Jehovah and his worshipers? Will they succeed? What is their future? Again, Psalm 112 gives us the answer. Note with me Psalm 112, verse 10. It says, the wicked one will see and be upset. He will grind his teeth and melt away. The desires of the wicked will perish. Enemies of Jehovah will not succeed in frightening his people, and soon they will be completely gone. The Bible promises that God's kingdom will soon remove the wicked and bring complete peace to the earth.
Well, maybe the reason many of us and powerful governments have a negative reaction to Jehovah's Witnesses is because of what you're doing. Your shunning policy, your no blood transfusion policy, and the biggie is your CSA problem.
They're just in that little clip.
A lot, I know.
Well, how many times have you friends heard me say, lose the fear, lose the fear, lose the fear? Fear is false evidence appearing real. It's just an acronym, okay? But look at how much they're pushing no fear, no fear, no fear. It wasn't too terribly long ago when my favorite little clown, Let, got in front of the camera and said, friends, we need to let you know of a financial situation, however it is that he started it. We need, 16,000 or 14,000 kingdom halls, not sometime in the future, but right now. How is that not fear? They're losing money hand over fist in these court cases. Okay?
They are.
They do fear. They fear losing that money that they've accumulated while you Jehovah's Witnesses are still shoveling coal. I want to read a scripture to you Jehovah's Witnesses. Revelation 22:15. Outside are the dogs and those who practice spiritism. If you keep flip-flopping doctrines based on this book, you come up with new ideologies, how is that not spiritism? Because you're, supposedly being directed by God's Holy Spirit, channeling God's Holy Spirit, but yet you keep flip-flopping. You keep changing. In the broadest sense of the word, that's spiritism. Practicing different things all the time. And the fornicators, well, every child that gets abused sexually is either by a fornicator or an adulterer. You guys are practicing it. Not only that, you hide it. And the murderers. How many videos has my darling wife done recently about Jehovah's Witnesses killing Jehovah's Witnesses? In fact, decade ago or so, or maybe even two decades ago, I even confessed to my mother. It wouldn't surprise me when you start hearing Jehovah's Witnesses are killing Jehovah's Witnesses. God, I hate it when I'm right.
No, you don't.
I'm going on. And the idolaters. Yeah, you Jehovah's Witnesses, you're idolizing these programs. You live your life based on what these knuckleheads are telling you, because you have the truth.
Well, look at years ago. They told us not to have any icons or anything like that because that was a form of idolatry. And what do they have now? The blue JW.org. They have flags. They have merchandise. They have everything.
They've become full-blown idolaters. Going on. And everyone liking and carrying on the lie. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't jackass lawyer Brumley get fined several $100,000 for lying in a court of law?
$155,000?
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God? I do, says Brumley. And then the piece of crap lies.
Well, I don't think lawyers have to take the oath before they do a trial.
Well, it doesn't matter. Jehovah's Witnesses are the most spiritually clean people on this earth. It's a given. They don't practice lying, but they do.
Well, this is why they don't want the Jehovah's Witnesses to look at any bad news, any negative news, don't want to watch any apostate videos. You don't want to do any of this. You just want to keep focused and shovel the coal.
See, this is why I can't do this stuff no more, because it's so blatantly ignorant.
But if you don't do this, you have nowhere else to rant and rave. So yes, you do like to do this.
I'm sorry. No, excuse me. Dang.
All right, now our next clip is from Sunday Afternoon Part 1's videos. And it is the dramatic Bible reading by, it's a governing body member. I can't even remember his name. I think it's like Gage,
Gagne, whatever.
Flago, whatever. And the dramatic Bible reading is from Revelation, and it's there will be no delay any longer. And I tried to cut out as much of the Bible reading to save you guys, so I just have a few clips of things that he talks about in this, and I didn't even play all of them. Like I said, I'm saving you guys. I took one for the team, so you don't have to watch all of this. But there will be no delay any longer.
How does that apply to the 1914 generation who's now laying in their graves, and those that fought on D-Day have a foot in the grave already?
Spoiler alert. They don't even mention 1914 failed prophecy. Did you really expect them to?
No, but, you know, I haven't watched these things until just right now because you guys like my raw, unadulterated reaction. Even if I flip them off, so what? So what? These people deserve what they get because they have caused this themselves.
Well, look at how much damage they have done to people's lives.
Yeah.
And that is why we get so upset and why he rants and raves, because we have seen the damage they have done.
Yeah. You can't escape the lies and the damage, the pretzel twisting that they do, the deflecting they do, the straw man arguments that they throw in.
Or hiding of all of the abuse.
You've got to be a complete fool. Oh, my mother is, because she's going to swallow this stuff up as if it's a new revelation from Jehovah.
My mom is.
And guess what, Mom? You're going to become a Jesus freak before you die, too.
Yeah, my mom will too.
Because this is where the business of Jehovah's Witnesses is going. But it's going to be in small baby steps.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to play some of the clips. Now, I do have, I believe, most of the intro he does before they start the dramatic Bible reading. But I wanted to play this to show you that, like I said, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. It's all, you know, going to the love of Jesus, focusing on Jesus.
Well, here again, they've already been doing it. A couple of years ago, they show all the militaries coming from that little group of Jehovah's Witnesses in the field. They're fearless because behind them is Jesus coming in the clouds with the sword and the bow. They've already been changing in micro steps.
Your right eye is all red. Did you pop a blood vessel in that last rant?
I may have.
I think he popped a blood vessel in his right eye. All right, here's the clip.
Would you agree that we live in difficult times? Despite some advances in technology, people still must endure the ravages of war, food shortages, pestilence, and disasters of various kinds. Add to that the bitter opposition and persecution we face from those who do not yet know Jehovah. How we yearn for justice and relief. The Bible book of Revelation figuratively quotes faithful martyrs as calling out to Jehovah, "Until when, sovereign Lord, holy and true, are you refraining from judging and avenging our blood?" Although those martyrs were told to wait a little longer, Christ Jesus makes this remarkable statement recorded at Revelation 10, verse 6. There will be no delay any longer. That's good news. The entire book of Revelation is good news for all who love and trust Jehovah. It foretells momentous events, but we need not fear them because we know that Jehovah cares for us. The good news that Revelation contains is that all that grieves us today will soon disappear. And all of its promises center on one person, Jesus Christ. In its very first verse, this thrilling Bible book is described as a revelation by Jesus Christ. It foretells events that occur during the Lord's Day. That is, the period that began when our Lord Jesus became king in 1914 and continues until the end of his 1,000-year reign. And throughout Revelation, we read of Jesus' key role in destroying God's enemies, removing our suffering, and restoring earth to a paradise. These are not empty promises. Revelation 1 verse 1 declares that these things must shortly take place. What sort of things must shortly take place? What role will Jesus play in these events? And how will they bring justice and relief to us? Let's begin by considering what will happen to the world empire of false religion. Please turn to Revelation chapter 18. Revelation depicts false religion as an evil prostitute with the name Babylon the Great. For millenniums, she has ridiculed, persecuted, and killed God's people. Shamelessly, she has exploited and deceived people with lies. Her influence is strong, but that's about to change. As we begin reading at Revelation 18, verse 1, note what will happen to Babylon the Great and why. Babylon views herself as a powerful queen who will never be brought down. Why should she? After all, she has thrived for thousands of years. And yet, a terrible destruction is coming, and it will envelop her suddenly, as if in one day. What role does Jesus play in this event? Look again at verses 1 and 2. Who announces the fall of Babylon? An angel whose glory lights up the whole earth. To whom has Jehovah given such glory? To our Lord Jesus. Since 1914, Jesus has been exercising authority over the earth as king and judge. How fitting that he announces the fall of Babylon the Great. But that judgment brings with it a warning. Get out of her. Never would we want to have any part of an organization that's doomed to destruction.
Oh my goodness.
Doomed for destruction.
Oh, that's all the clips I have so far. But I mean, right there towards the end, he says, get out of her, and you do not want to be in a doomed organization. It's like, oh my goodness.
Well, you know why there seems to be such a huge attack on Christianity? It's because of the internet. Because you have Christian ministers that are waking up. Bart Ehrman went to school to become a pastor, to become a minister, and he was pretty much being told, don't read certain scriptures from the stage. Don't talk about this. See, they only pick and choose what they want to hear.
Well, Watchtower does the same thing.
Yeah.
Several times, throughout our entire lives as JWs, how many times would they read a couple of verses here? Oh, let's skip down to this. And they, take it out of context.
Yeah.
They just take a few scriptures here and there and take it out of context.
Yeah. And, in the beginning of this clip, Jehovah's Witnesses, you still have to endure the CSA problem. You still have to endure in your mind that they had a false prophecy about 1914. You're still going to have to endure the overlapping generation nonsense. But you know what I find so disturbing about the book of Revelation and what this knucklehead did? And just a little while longer, I will be coming shortly, or however it is he read that scripture. You Jehovah's Witnesses realize Revelation was penned in 96 CE. Do you realize that 1928 years have gone by? How does that not qualify as delaying?
Oh, that's just a short time in God's timeline.
Yeah. In the whole scheme of things, that's bullshit. I'm calling bullshit, okay? I want you friends, honestly, go and watch the link to that video that we're going to put underneath. Now, I know you're not going to be able to see it right here, but when you look at those old carvings, before Judaism swallowed up the name Yahweh, look at those symbols. Get familiar with those symbols. Okay? Get familiar with them, because you're going to see that they predated the whole Jewish Jehovah Yahweh Yeshua nonsense. Because he's nothing but a tribal god that during the Jewish period, they took it to be their own god. Because like I said in the beginning, you get rid of all the other gods. You leave yourself one, and you're one God away from being an atheist.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, this whole thing, and it even goes back to the clips I showed from the Gilead graduation, is, you know, just keep focused, keep busy in the ministry, don't look at any of the negative stuff, just keep shoveling the coal.
Keep your head buried in the sand like the ostrich.
Yeah, and that's what they want Jehovah's Witnesses to do. You know, you're happy, you're the chosen people, so just don't pay attention to all what's going on. And it's just, you just can't. It's a major conundrum in this organization.
It is.
Now, we're done with the
I love this
convention.
one.
And I want to thank the person, thank you, dear friend, for sending me the link to a post on Reddit. Kim and Mikey don't know what they're talking about. The OSCE is not part of the United Nations. They're not actually the United Nations. And I'm going to read this. And I'm going to put the link down below to this. OSCE, which is the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. Now we know Jehovah's Witnesses are still NGO members. The organization is still NGO members. And many, many times they have filed grievances with the OSCE trying to get the bans and all of these powerful governments that, you know, don't like them to, you know, be kinder, gentler to them so they can do their preaching work. Whereas, you know, they violate our human rights all the time by taking our families away. But I digress. This, United Nations. The OSCE Secretary General Helga Maria Schmidt meets with the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres on the margins of the 77th UN General Assembly in 2022. That's the picture. Below, I'm just going to read the first two paragraphs. The United Nations is the OSCE's primary partner organization. Partner. Partner, root word part. Part
of.
The primary organization of the United Nations, of the OSCE. See? They're partners. So they are part of this. This is because the OSCE recognizes that the United Nations Security Council bears the primary responsibility for the maintenance of global peace and security. See? And that's the one that Watchtower runs to file their grievances like when Russia bans them or some of these other countries. All right?
And you have to be a paying member to give speeches in front of them too, right? Because don't we have Brumley giving a speech?
Yeah, Brumley actually went and gave a speech. I'm sure it's somewhere in our videos where we had clips. And I believe Pasta Babe Linda James, she had the entire talk on her channel. And I'll look and see if she still has it up. But you can look. Brumley went to one of these meetings and he was given a speech and crying victim of how Watchtower are victims, Jehovah's Witnesses are victims of this hatred against them.
Yeah.
So anyway, just wanted to, you know, clarify that is why we keep saying they are part of the UN, because they're actually partners. They're like you know.
Well, it's no different than partners in crime. Even though you don't go into the bank with a firearm to rob them, if you're the driver, you're still the partner. Wake up, for Christ's sake.
So it just goes right along. They just love us on XJW Reddit, don't
they? Well, XJW Branch Lloyd Vidians.
Yeah. They just love us on Reddit. So anyway, our battery is running out. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate all of you so much. You know, your comments and watching and your likes and for subscribing. Oh my goodness, we've gotten a lot more subscribers, so thank you.
Can I go have some ice cream now?
You can go have some ice cream. You suck. You suck. While I go walk and eat my broccoli.
How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet right here, right now, that if I was to tell this to my mother, what would she say? She would say, well, that's because you come from my loins.
Yeah.
She would take credit for this.
No, she said it in the past.
Yeah.
I heard her. My side of the family has really good genes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can I say?
You suck. We have way too much fun.
Yeah.
So thank you, Atlantis, dear friend, for getting us the videos for the convention. And we appreciate you also very much. I know he has been really busy lately. He's had a lot of requests. And he's been sending me a lot of the stuff that he has found. Because people will request something over on JehovahWitness.com, you know, because they know he's over there, and they'll, you know, message him and request something. Hey, do you know about this, or do you know about that? And he's always kind enough to give me the information of his research that he finds so that I can put it in our version of Beastzilla. So thank you very much, and we appreciate, you know, the transcript and the videos of the convention, I think. I still have a headache. And I still have a pile of dishes.
Yeah. The elves ain't going to be doing those dishes anytime soon. No. Pray to Jehovah and have him send an angel to miraculously do your dishes while we do this life-saving work right here.
I don't expect that to happen anytime soon. So thank you, everybody. We love you, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Have a good one, friends.
Bye.